chromosome that makes you a man is disappearing. We're talking about the Y chromosome, the only chromosome that literally defines the male sex. And it's shrinking. It has been for 180 million years, slowly. But with the determination of someone leaving a party they never wanted to be at. So let's start with the basics. Science class. Humans have 23 pairs of chromosomes. One of those pairs determines biological sex. Women, 2 X chromosomes. Men, 1 X and 1 Y. The X chromosome, in case you didn't know, carries between 900 and 1,400 genes. The Y, somewhere between 45 and 51. 51 genes. For a chromosome that supposedly carries the entire weight of masculinity in the world. That manual is called the SRY gene. It triggers male development in the embryo. No SRY, no Y, no male development. Simple as that. One line of code. The male operating system runs on one line of code. And people wonder why it glitches so often. But here's the real problem. 300 million years ago, X and Y were practically identical. Evolutionary twins. Same size, same number of genes. And then the Y did what any twin does after spending too much time alone. It started losing pieces. From nearly 1,000 original genes, it's down to somewhere between 45 and 51. A 97% degradation over millions of years. Australian evolutionary geneticist Jenny Graves has studied this process for decades, and she made a calculation that made headlines around the world. If the rate of loss continues as it is, nearly 10 genes per million years, the Y chromosome could disappear in about 4.5 million years. That's a long way off. But the internet doesn't care. But this is where it gets interesting. Not every scientist agrees with that diagnosis. Scientists disagreeing? Groundbreaking. Biologist Jennifer Hughes from Massachusetts Institute of Technology has argued the opposite for years. The essential genes on the human Y chromosome have remained stable for 25 million years. 25 million years without losing a single gene. For context, that's roughly when our lineage split from our closest relatives, the chimpanzees. Her argument is elegant. The genes that remain on the Y perform functions so critical across the organism that the evolutionary pressure to preserve them is immense. The Y isn't disappearing, it's stabilizing. Jenny Graves, who proposed the disappearance scenario, doesn't deny the current stability. But she points out that present stability is no guarantee of the future. And she summed up the Y chromosome's fate with a line that's probably one of the most honest things a scientist has ever said publicly. Anything between now and never. When the two debated publicly in 2011, the audience voted. The result, a statistical tie. 50-50. Science in all its elegance declined to deliver a final verdict. But now comes the part that really scrambles the logic. There's a rat in Japan, Tokudaya osimensis, the Amami spiny rat. This rodent has completely lost the Y chromosome. 0. Gone. And it kept producing male offspring just fine. Asado Kuroiwa discovered that the Y chromosome genes in these rats were redistributed to other chromosomes. And a tiny duplication, just 17,000 base pairs, on chromosome 3 in males acts as a replacement switch, doing exactly what the SRY gene used to do. And it's not just this rat. Mole voles in Eastern Europe have also lost the Y chromosome, and they're still reproducing. Nature is fundamentally an engineer with no emotional attachment to any specific solution. If it works, it stays. If it stops working, it improvises. Jenny Graves went even further. In an interview, she said, "Maybe this has already happened in some human population, somewhere. There could be right now a human who doesn't need the Y chromosome to determine male sex, and we wouldn't even know. Evolution doesn't send memos. But let's step away from the scale of millions of years and talk about something more immediate. More immediate as in, this is already happening in your body right now. Immediate? Exactly that. As men age, cells in the body start to lose the Y chromosome. This isn't a prediction, it's data. 40% of men at age 60 already show this loss in some cells. By age 90, it's 57%. For years, this was assumed to be irrelevant. The Y has few genes, cells can survive without it. So what's the problem? The problem, as it turns out, is that the Y carries genes that act as tumor suppressors and regulators of other genes across the body. Losing the Y isn't just about sex determination. Studies have linked this loss to cardiovascular disease, neurodegeneration, and different types of cancer. A large-scale German study found that men over 60 with a high frequency of Y loss had a greater risk of heart attack. A tenfold higher frequency of this loss has been observed in patients with Alzheimer's disease. It's also been associated with higher mortality from COVID-19. A chromosome that science spent decades underestimating because it's small, because it has few genes, because it seemed disposable, may be partially responsible for the fact that men tend to live shorter lives than women, which raises a question that goes far beyond extinction millions of years from now. Have we been understanding the Y chromosome all wrong? The question that won't go away. Straight answer, probably not. Humans don't reproduce by parthenogenesis, that is, without male genetic contribution. There are at least 30 genes with genomic imprinting that must come from sperm. So even if the Y chromosome disappeared, the outcome wouldn't be extinction. It would be evolution finding another path, another switch, just like it did with those rats. What could happen over a very long time scale is that different human populations develop different systems of sex determination. And that could eventually lead to the emergence of distinct species. Not men disappearing, different species with different systems, an evolutionary branching that would take millions of years. For context, our species, Homo sapiens, hasn't even existed for 100,000 years. Talking about 4 million years is talking about something 40 times longer than our entire existence as a species. By then, we might not even be here anymore.